We start with breaking news from Iran, where state media says that President Raisi and the Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian died when their helicopter crashed on Sunday. The wreckage has been located and there are no survivors among those who were on board. The search took place in a mountainous area in northwestern Iran near Tabriz. Mr. Raisi was returning from a visit to Azerbaijan, where he'd been discussing cooperation over dams and water supplies. The helicopter had been one of 3 flying together. This is it taking off to return to Iran. The other 2 reached their destination safely, but the alarm was raised on Sunday when Iran's Interior Minister said the president's aircraft had experienced a hard landing and communication had been lost. Several countries offered to help in the search, which was hampered by bad weather, as you can see from these pictures issued by the Azerbaijan Red Crescent Society. Overnight, Turkey launched a drone to search for the missing helicopter. This map tracks its progress. You can see where it concentrated its search. In the early hours of the morning, Turkey said it had identified a source of heat, which it suspected to be the wreckage of a helicopter carrying Iran's President Raisi. It said it had shared the coordinates with the Iranian teams. Then these pictures emerged a short while ago. These are pictures taken by a drone of the crash scene. You can just see on the laptop screen the wreckage of the helicopter. Well, with me now is Parham Gabadi from BBC Persian. Hi, Parham, good to see you. And this accident, this crash happened last night in Iran, and since then there was speculation about whether or not there would be any survivors, and confirmation in the last couple of hours that the President and Foreign Minister have been killed. What are the authorities in Iran saying?
So the authorities announced that they found, as you said, they first found the wreckage, and they immediately said that there is no sign of life around this wreckage, and they said that they've got only less than 2 kilometers to reach this helicopter, and they were going to make it there within a few hours. But the efforts to find this helicopter took all the night. As you said, it was hampered by the bad weather. First it was foggy. That is believed to be the reason for the crash, and then it turned into rainy weather, and over the night the temperature fell and it started snowing. But Iranian Red Crescent was not able to alone to find the president, so they asked help from the Turkish and the Russians. Apparently the Turkish drones played a really key role in finding the wreckage of the helicopter overnight and trying to detect where it has fallen.
So tell us about who the president was, what his role is in Iran, and what his death will mean for the country.
President Ebrahim Raisi was a totally different president compared to his predecessors, because, for example, Rouhani was, they all had their disagreements with the Iranian supreme leader, who's at the helm of the politics in Iran. He holds most of the power. Ebrahim Raisi was considered to be his protege. He was a yes man. He did not had any disagreements with the Iranian president. So, and his presidency is one of the most short-lived presidencies. He did not even make it to the 3rd year. And he started his, he came to power when he was just an 18-year-old in the judiciary system that later on became known as a kind of committee of death, because they issued a lot of death sentences back in the 80s to many Iranian dissidents. And that's why many human rights organizations, when he came into 2022, when he became a president, many human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, asked for investigations for him about crimes against humanity. So, and then he became the custodian of Imam Reza's shrine in Mashhad. The importance of that is where the money and the power is. So he reached the source of money and power at a very young age, and then he became the president a few years ago. But like I said, he was considered to be the protege of Ayatollah Khamenei, a person who listens to him, who obeys the orders, and who does not disagree with the commander-in-chief.
What do you think his death could mean within Iran, given the protests, the increasing number of protests we've seen there over the past few years against the authoritarian regime? Could they have any impact?
That's an important question, because the reactions are divided. obviously the Iranian, the supporters of the regime. Yes, last night, for example, they went onto the streets of Tehran holding prayers for him. But those are the people who support the regime, and that is the tiny minority. And how do we know that? Because just a week ago, there was an election in Iran, a parliamentary election, and some of the candidates got it to the parliament with only 3% of the votes. That is how unpopular the regime has become. On the other side, we've got people on social media, especially those who've lost their eyes, their limbs, and their family members during the protests just over a year ago. And those people, you see that they're posting, they're celebrating, they're cheering, drinks, clinking drinks, celebrating his death on social media. So these are the two different reactions to his death so far.
The president and the foreign minister killed in this helicopter crash. Given that Iranian proxies are operating all over the Middle East, not least, of course, Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and you have made clear that it is the Ayatollah, the supreme leader, who is the key decision maker. But what impact do you think, if any, their deaths could have on the regional conflict?
Minimal, apparently minimal impact, because like I said, the commander-in-chief is Ayatollah Khamenei. He is the one who even chooses, almost recommends, as they say, the foreign minister. So those are usually the proxies that you mentioned are controlled by Iran's Revolutionary Guard. And that is a totally different branch controlled by Ayatollah Khamenei, and the president has no role in that. And it's important to understand also that the difference between President Raisi and his predecessors was that he almost turned presidency into a ceremonial role. And he did not exert any power, he did not disagree. Even in foreign policy, for example, the ex-president Rouhani had a totally different understanding of foreign policy. He wanted to reconcile with the West, and there was a struggle of power within the Iranian politics. But with Raisi, we did not see any sign of that. So and like you said, the proxies around the region, they're controlled by Revolutionary Guard, so that is not going to be impacted.
So now there will need to be elections, what, within 50 days?
Within 50 days.
Do you expect a continuation then of another candidate to be chosen and inevitably voted in, who is a key ally and supporter and an actual proxy of the Ayatollah? Definitely,
because the signs that we've seen over the past 2-3 years is that Iran has a body that they have to approve all the candidates, and that body has been disqualifying all the candidates for the presidency and also for the parliament. So it shows that Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, most of the analysts believe that he is preparing the ground for the transition after his death to the next Supreme Leader. We do not know who that person might be, but we know that he's preparing the ground for that transition. And for that transition to happen smoothly, they need a person who is completely loyal and faithful to the commander-in-chief.
Okay, Parham, thank you very much for your expertise, your analysis. Thank you. Well, we do have a live page on our website following all of these developments around this helicopter crash involving the President of Iran and Foreign Minister. Just head to bbc.co.uk or go to the BBC News app.